Hello, and welcome to a discussion of the issues of Campaign 2008. I'm Chris Kiergaard. With me today are, from the Republican side, Lee Newcom, from the Democratic side, Jeff Hall. Our topic today is the issue of abortion. On this topic, Senator McCain opposes abortion rights. He has voted for abortion restrictions permissible under Roe v. Wade, and now says he would seek to overturn the guarantee of abortion rights. However, he would not seek a constitutional amendment to ban abortion. Senator Obama favors abortion rights. Mr. Newcom, where to begin?
Well, Senator McCain's position, I think, reflects what most reasonable people would want. Reasonable people understand that this is an issue that a lot of people disagree on. People have very divergent views, but people overwhelmingly approve of reasonable restrictions on abortion. And I think that's where Senator McCain is. Senator McCain, in saying that he personally opposes abortion, he has also said that he supports the law and the way it's working today. And I think we all realize that this is probably not going to be overturned in our lifetime. So let's look at the two candidates and see how they would be reasonable. I believe Senator McCain's position is reasonable. And I believe Senator Obama's position is one of the most radically unreasonable positions that any human being can have. Let's look at why. The most heinous, cruel, monstrous procedure in the medical profession today is partial birth abortion. This is the abortion of a live baby. But at its extreme in one of these abortions, a baby can be born alive. And we had a controversy here in Illinois where live babies, after being born, were being placed in a soiled utility room to die. A law was proposed in Illinois which would have said that if a baby is born alive, that baby is entitled to medical care. We're talking about a human being outside the mother's body existing on its own. I believe any reasonable, common sense person who has a heart would say that that baby deserves the protection of medical care. Senator Obama was the chairman of the committee in Springfield that considered that bill. And Senator Obama used his political influence as the chairman of that committee to see that that bill, first of all, that those who had come to Springfield to testify did not have the opportunity to testify. And the next day he used his power to see that that was defeated and did not come to the floor for a vote. And I would ask our viewers the reasonable question. Do you think it's reasonable for him to have used his power as a committee chairman to have stopped a born alive baby from receiving reasonable medical care? He said no. He says now in the campaign that he supports the federal language, but that's not true. It's a usual Obama half-truth, because the federal language was identical to the Illinois language that he stopped. Those are the actions not of a reasonable person. Those are the actions of a radical, and he's a radical that because of that issue alone, I believe is unqualified to become President of the United States.
Okay. Mr. Hall,
okay, based on that, kind of respectfully, that diatribe there, as far as I'm concerned, Obama's view is not that extreme. It's basically to keep the status quo, to keep it how it is. Okay, Roe v. Wade is about it's the closest we can get to a compromise, to meet in the middle with both parties. The Supreme Court back then, let me back up. Groups have criticized the Supreme Court's ruling back then in Roe v. Wade because they said it was based on faulty science. They didn't have the science yet then. But what's amazing is they got it about as close as they could right now to a compromise. And my understanding of Obama's position is that it's to keep the status quo. Now, as far as my readings about McCain, he's changed his mind on this at different times, where he kind of leans more towards being to give a woman's right to choose. Now he's saying more, since he wants to be president, he's saying that, hey, you know what, we think Roe v. Wade should be overturned, and that's more or less to appease to the religious right. Okay, basically, Roe v. Wade, basically in its simplicity, is about as close as you can get to a compromise. One, in the first trimester, basically the woman has the right to choose over her body, basically what she can do. Okay, the second trimester, the state has some more rights to come in and say, hey, you know what, let's look at the details here. All right, let's look at the details. The third trimester, the state has basically the autonomy there. Okay, now that's the balancing act. Okay, when it comes to it, you know, it's you just cannot make it illegal to have an abortion. Okay, because how are you going to police it as well? Are you going to hold a 17-year-old girl who got pregnant, say raped by her father or something, and hold her as a murderer if she goes to and gets an abortion? And on the other side there is, if Roe v. Wade is overturned, it's overturned and then it goes back to the states. And each individual state will make its own recommendation, what they feel, how they want to govern their own people. Now if you do that, some states are going to be anti-abortion, others are going to be pro-abortion. And that creates a problem because we'll say in Illinois, for example, it's predominantly Democratic, and so Democratic leaning mainly because of Chicago. But I doubt they would ever overturn Roe v. Wade. Just like I agree with you that it probably won't be overturned in our lifetime here. But basically, what would happen is you get people coming up from Arkansas, you get people coming up from Alabama, traveling interstate to receive abortions, where it's legal, say in Illinois. Then they go back to their home state. I could anticipate that their home state would try to prosecute them for that, which would be kind of hard as far as jurisdiction, but their state can make maybe a law not to travel across state lines to get an abortion. If they can prove those elements, maybe they will be able to make it a crime. But right now, the best way to do it is just to keep the status quo. It's the best way to appease to all sides here. Now, as far as the late-term abortion, you know, I personally don't agree with that.